Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up, the world is waiting half a step beyond.
The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, as Vian stood in the quiet garden of her childhood home. The fragrance of roses lingered in the air, but her heart felt heavy with grief and uncertainty. Her beloved sister, Minjun, had been gone for 6 months now, leaving behind a newborn baby, Jihae. Vian had been there for her sister through every trial and triumph, but nothing could have prepared her for the heart-wrenching loss. As Vian turned to leave the garden, she heard her parents' voices coming from the living room. She hesitated, then made her way to the open French doors, her steps faltering as she overheard the conversation. "We must think of Jihae's future," her mother said, her tone filled with worry. "She needs a father, someone to provide for her and give her the love and care she deserves." Vian's father sighed heavily. "I know, Harin, but the only suitable guardian for Jihae is Minjun's husband, Jungkook. He's the only family she has left." Vian's heart skipped a beat as their words sank in. They were discussing Minjun's husband Jungkook, the man she had loved from afar for years, the man who had been her sister's devoted partner. She couldn't deny the attraction she felt for him, but her feelings paled in comparison to the overwhelming grief she felt for Minjun and the responsibility she now had for Jihae. She quietly stepped back, her mind reeling with conflicting emotions. The idea of marrying Jungkook and becoming Jihae's stepmother was both overwhelming and unfathomable. But as the reality of the situation settled in, she knew she had to confront her parents and Jungkook. The following morning, Vian found herself sitting across from her parents and Jungkook in the same living room where she had overheard their conversation. The atmosphere was heavy with unspoken tension, and as she took in the apprehensive look in Jungkook's eyes, she realized that he was struggling with the same conflicting emotions she was. "Vian, we've been discussing what's best for Jihae," her father began, his voice gentle but firm. "And we believe that the best course of action is for you to marry Jungkook and become Jihae's mother. It's what Minjun would have wanted." Vian's breath caught in her throat as she looked at her parents, her mind racing. She had always felt a deep sense of duty towards her family, but this request seemed beyond anything she could have imagined. She stole a glance at Jungkook, whose eyes held a mix of sorrow and uncertainty. "Please, I need more time to think about this," she finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is a lot to process." Her mother reached out and took her hand, her eyes filled with compassion. "We understand, dear, but time is of the essence. Jihae needs stability and a family, and we believe that you and Jungkook can provide that for her." Vian felt a surge of emotions welling up inside her, but she knew that her parents were right. Jihae deserved a loving home, And if marrying Jungkook was the only way to ensure that, then perhaps she could find the strength to do it. Days turned into weeks as Ryan grappled with the weight of her parents' request. She spent countless nights pacing the floors of her room, her mind filled with inconsistent emotions. On one hand, she felt an overwhelming sense of duty towards her family, especially towards Jihae, the innocent baby who had lost her mother. On the other hand, the thought of marrying Jungkook, the man she had secretly harbored feelings for, felt like an impossible feat. One evening, as the late summer breeze whispered through the open window of her room, Ryan heard a gentle knock. She looked up to see Jungkook standing in the doorway, his expression a mix of apprehension and empathy. "Ryan, may I come in?" Jungkook asked softly, his eyes filled with a tenderness that tugged at her heart. Ryan nodded, and Jungkook entered the room, closing the door behind him. He took a seat across from her, and for a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air was thick with unspoken words and emotions, and Ryan found herself searching for the right words to convey the in her heart. "Jungkook, she began, her voice trailing off as she struggled to find the courage to voice her thoughts. I don't know how to make sense of all of this." Jungkook reached out and took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "I understand, Ryan. This is an unimaginable situation for both of us. I never expected to find myself in this position, and I can only imagine how difficult it must be for you." Ryan met his gaze, her eyes filled with, "I care about Jihae deeply, and I want what's best for her. But the idea of marrying you, it's overwhelming. I don't want to dishonor Minjun's memory or make you feel trapped." Jungkook squeezed her hand gently. "Ryan, I've been grappling with the same thoughts. I loved Minjun with all my heart, and her loss has left a void that can never be filled. But I also care about you, and I want to make sure that whatever decision we make is one that we can live with." As the weight of their unspoken emotions hung in the air, Ryan felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Perhaps amidst the chaos and heartache, there was a chance for understanding and compassion to bloom. In the days that followed, Ryan and Jungkook found themselves drawn to each other in a way that went beyond their shared grief. They spent countless hours talking, sharing memories of Minjun, and slowly peeling back the layers of their own fears and uncertainties. The sun was going down in the evening and made the garden look bright and warm. Ryan and Jungkook found themselves sitting on the same bench where Ryan had sat weeks before. The air was filled with the soft hum of crickets and the gentle rustle of leaves, and for a moment the weight of their responsibilities seemed to fade away. "Ryan, I want you to know that I don't expect you to marry me out of obligation," Jungkook said quietly, his eyes searching hers. "I want you to marry me because it's a choice you can make with a clear heart. I want us to do what's best for Jihae while also honoring our own feelings." Hwayeon nodded, her heart aching with the enormity of the decision before them. I've been struggling with that, Jungkook. I want to do right by Jihae, but I also want to make sure that we're both ready for this. Jungkook reached for her hand, his touch grounding her in the present moment. I know. I've been thinking about it too. We can take our time, Hwayeon. We don't have to rush into anything. Jihae needs love and stability, and I believe we can provide that for her, whether we're married or not. As Hwayeon looked into Jungkook's eyes, she felt a sense of understanding and compassion wash over her. In that moment, she realized that they were in this together, bound by their shared love for Jihae and their desire to do right by her. Weeks turned into months, and as Hwayeon and Jungkook navigated the complexities of their evolving relationship, they found solace in each other's company. Their shared experiences and the love they had for Jihae formed an unspoken bond, one that transcended the confines of duty and obligation. As the seasons changed and Jihae grew into a happy, healthy baby, Hwayeon and Jungkook found themselves at a crossroads. They had come to understand each other in ways they never thought possible, and their shared journey had forged a deep connection between them. One cool autumn evening, under the soft glow of the moon, Jungkook took Hwayeon by the hand and led her to the garden where they had shared so many heartfelt conversations. The air was crisp, and the scent of fallen leaves lingered around them as they sat on the familiar bench. Hwayeon, I've been doing a lot of thinking, Jungkook began, his voice steady and filled with emotion. I care about you deeply, and I want to build a future with you, one that goes beyond our responsibilities to Jihae. Hwayeon's heart fluttered as she listened to Jungkook's words, her pulse quickening with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. Jungkook, I feel the same way, but our situation is so complicated. Can we really make this work? Jungkook took both of Hwayeon's hands in his gaze unwavering. I believe we can, Hwayeon. I want to marry you, not out of obligation, but because I love you. I want to be there for you and Jihae, to build a life together based on our own choices and desires. Tears welled up in Hwayeon's eyes as she felt the weight of Jungkook's words wash over her. In that moment, she knew that they were ready to take a leap of faith, to forge a new path that honored their past while embracing the promise of the future. Yes, Jungkook, she whispered, her voice filled with certainty. I want that too. I want to build a future with you, to be a family for Jihae and for ourselves. As they held each other in the quiet embrace of the garden, under the watchful gaze of the stars, Hwayeon and Jungkook silently vowed to navigate the unspoken complexities of their past, present, and future with love, understanding, and unwavering devotion. Three years had passed since Hwayeon and Jungkook made the decision to marry, and their lives had transformed in ways they had never imagined. As they celebrated their third wedding anniversary, they found themselves remembering about the journey that had led them to this moment. Seated at their dining table adorned with flickering candles and a bouquet of fresh flowers, Ryan and Jungkook exchanged tender glances, their eyes reflecting the depth of their shared experiences. Ryan reached for Jungkook's hand, her touch filled with warmth and affection. "Can you believe it's been 3 years since we made that decision? So much has changed since then." Jungkook smiled, his eyes sparkling with love. "It's been an incredible journey, Ryan. I never could have anticipated the depth of joy and fulfillment that Jae and you have brought into my life." A soft chuckle escaped Ryan's lips as she thought of their spirited daughter. "Jae has certainly kept us on our toes, hasn't she? But I wouldn't have it any other way. She's brought so much light into our lives." Jungkook nodded, his gaze on Ryan. "You've brought light into my life as well, Ryan. I'm grateful for the love and understanding you've shown me, especially as we navigated the complexities of our past." Ryan's eyes shimmered with emotion as she met Jungkook's gaze. "I feel the same way, Jungkook. Our journey hasn't been easy, but it's been filled with moments of understanding, compassion, and unwavering support. I couldn't have asked for a better partner by my side." "I love you, Jungkook," Ryan said softly, her voice filled with sincerity. "I love you too, Ryan," Jungkook replied, his gaze reflecting the depth of his feelings. "Thank you for being my partner in this journey." Ryan leaned across the table, closing the distance between them. It was sweet, that spoke volumes of the love they shared. As they pulled away, their eyes met and they exchanged a knowing smile, understanding that some feelings were better expressed in the language of silent gestures. With their fingers entwined and hearts intertwined, they basked in the unspoken joy of their love, grateful for the journey they had undertaken together. The flickering candles continued to cast a warm glow, encapsulating the essence of their celebration, a celebration not just of 3 years of marriage, but of the enduring unspoken joy that filled their hearts. And so, in the quietude of that moment, they embraced the beauty of their shared connection, finding solace in the unspoken language that only two souls deeply in love could comprehend.
어쩔 수 없었어 더 가까워질 때